Hello everyone, in this video I'll be showing you an OP lock-it-in build guide for Baldur's Gate 3. This is a Paladin with a Warlock, and this is what I've used for my first playthrough, and it's crazy powerful. So you can do this with the Oathbreaker Paladin or the Paladin of Vengeance, really whatever flavor of Paladin you want, that's what we're going to be going with. So I preferred Oath of Vengeance because we get a bit more radiant damage per turn as a bonus action, and then we also have different tenets that we can abide by. So this makes it easier to break our if you want to become an Oathbreaker, go with this one. And then when you face off against Auntie Ethel, let her go and you'll become an Oathbreaker. So for this build, I have the Hill Giant Gauntlets on. So this is best optimized if you do this, because this is going to set your strength to 23 no matter what you're wearing. And we're going to dump our strength for that reason. We're going to put our dexterity up a little higher because it gives us more initiative to get damage dealt first. Constitution's important as well, and obviously charisma as our main stat as both Paladin and Warlock. So we're going to set that at 17. We're going to dump down our intelligence, our wisdom and intelligence and strength, and we're going to bring up our Constitution to a 16. Something around there. If you want, you can get the Dexterity Gauntlets from the Githyanki Kresh, which allows you to dump dexterity as well, and you can really mess around with your build a little bit more, but this is what we're going to go with. Charisma is going to be a huge stat for us for a variety of reasons. So once you get to Act 3, you can get this hat here, which gives you +2 charisma. I'm also using the Auntie Ethel Blessing. So my charisma is already 22 without any ability score increases. That's pretty good. But we're going to get into the different leveling here to make this the most overpowered build in the game. So what's nice about this is you get 3 attacks because Pact of the Blade will add an attack. So for our fighting style, I like great weapon fighting personally. There's a lot of really great. I've got a 2-handed sword here that does that heals me, so it gives you kind of like that necromancer kind of vibe. Defense is pretty good though too. +1 to armor class, never a bad idea. Makes you harder to hit and take less damage. For our spells, now this is where the build really comes together. I love command because this can be a very powerful. You can upcast it and cover a large area and then have them all walk towards you while you just slay them down. This is great early on because you can command drop and get some unique weapons, and so you can get legendary weapons in Act 1, so very useful there. Searing Smite, Cure Wounds is okay. I don't love using a spell slot on heals. Wrathful Smite, Thunderous Smite. It's just good to have all different types of smites for the different elemental damage in case you can't use fire or the divine. Bless is a really great concentration, +3 to attack rolls and saving throws. This is pretty busted, honestly, but it's best used by a cleric, I would say. And then our Divine Favor, another concentration, adds 1 to 4 radiant damage to our attacks. One of these, Bless or that, it's your choice. And Compelled Duel can be okay if you want to be more of a tank, but we're going to be a big damage dealer, just using our actions and dealing crazy amounts of damage. So at our next level here, we could honestly skip out on going to a fighter role for extra attacks if you wanted something like Action Surge. But we're going to go 5 levels of a Paladin just for some certain reasons that I'll get into. For our next level spell, we can go with Divine Favor, different concentration. Shield of Faith is good too to give you +2 armor class. Just overall tankierness is always nice, but we're going to focus on being tanky by taking out enemies quicker. So we get Lay Hands Charge, get another spell slot that we're going to take. Good and Evil is, or Protection from Evil and Good is situational. It can be pretty powerful, but there's better things to use concentration on. For our feats, we're going to go Ability Improvement, pump up our Charisma. This is going to take it up to 24 for this particular class because I have the hat on that gives me +2. And I also got on Ethel's Boon, so we got 24 Charisma there. It's pretty powerful. But at Paladin level 5, this is where things get really interesting because we get our extra attack. And we get some next level spells, which is finally a little bit better than what we're working with. So I like Branding Smite to prevent it from going invisible. This is really useful in Act 2 and 3. And Aid's pretty good because this doesn't require a concentration. You can increase health by 5, so that's quite nice. Magic Weapon gives you a +1 bonus to attack and damage rolls. That's good because it means you're going to be attacking more often and dealing more damage as well. So one of these can be great. I just like Aid to give a little bit extra health because it heals as well. Not the best use of a level 2 spell slot. You're typically going to want to use your smites as much as possible, as they can deal crazy amounts of damage. Oh, I gotta I put this in the Tacticians, just 1 second, changing difficulty to balance again. And you can't change classes whenever you're on that difficulty, which is kind of funny. But getting into it, we're actually not going any further in the Paladin route. Even though we do get our aura protection, gives a +4 or +7 to saving throws, which is pretty crazy because we have the high charisma modifier. It doesn't show it there, but we're gonna add in the Warlock next. This is where things get crazy. Obviously, we're gonna take Eldritch Blast. This is what makes the Warlock so great. And then something like Bone Chill can be useful to stop it from healing. Friends is great. If you're the face of the party, you have to take Friends because this gives you gains advantage on charisma checks. So always useful. For our subclass, this is where we can go with a few different things. We can get the Dark One's Blessing from the Fiend when you get additional health points for taking out enemies. The Grand Old One is pretty cool. When you land a critical hit against a creature, they have to succeed a Wisdom saving throw or be frightened, which can just stop them from attacking altogether. The Archphase, okay, Fey, Present, Charmer, frighten nearby foes. But the Fiend is where we're going with. So this gives us Armor of Agathis, which gives us 5 temporary health points and gives 5 cold damage to any creature that attacks you with a melee attack. Quite nice. And that's something you can use your wizard spell slots on. Arms of Adar is pretty good too. So it prevents targets from using reactions. If you know there's a boss that's going to be using them often, that's quite a good thing to pop on. So for our spells, I like to take Hellish Rebuke. This is a reaction that you can use 1 spell slot up for, and it deals fire damage. Pretty nice just to have. And Hex is the main thing that you'd be using as a Warlock for, I guess, utility, because you can do Hex Dexterity on a lot of creatures. Like even there's certain people you'll fight in Act 3, and I don't want to spoil anything, but this is great for making them a lot easier if you do Hex Dexterity. So something like that can be good. Hex is great too, but this is what we're going to take for our first level Warlock. And Pact of the Blade is really what makes this such a powerful build. So furthermore, we're going to take another spell. We'll take our Hex finally there. Eldritch Invocations. These are great. So we want to take Repelling Blast, which is going to give us a pushback on our Eldritch Blast, 4.5 meters. That can take out enemies sometimes if you use good placement. Misty Step with that is really great too. And then Agonizing Blast, add your Charisma modifier to the damage it deals, which our Charisma modifier is +7, so that's going to be pretty powerful. And then as we get into level 3, this is where we get our Pact boon. So we're going to go with the Pact of the Blade. So this is where things get really powerful. For our spell, Cloud of Daggers or Scorching Ray can be good. Misty Step is really nice to have, but we already have that there. And then I think that Hold Person is great. We already have Hold Person, but Cloud of Daggers is good for crowd control. Hold Person is actually a really, really good spell that we want to use often. But for this, Pact of the Chain gives you a little summon that you can bring in. Pact of the Tomb gives you some different spells, but Pact of the Blade gives us this very special thing. So Bind Pact Weapon binds your main hand weapon. This becomes magical. You cannot drop or throw it, and you become proficient if you weren't already. We're already proficient because we're a paladin, but this is going to, at level 5, add our charisma, or use our charisma modifier, meaning we're going to have that +24. Not like we do have these gauntlets with high strength, so it's not like the end of the world if we don't have that, but it can be pretty nice. You're going to see why. Bone Chill, Minor Illusion is pretty good to group enemies together. It can be great for just dropping a fireball on them as well, so that's quite nice. Scorching Ray is pretty good for our spell, and then for our feat, we go hog wild and pump our charisma a bit more. Pump dexterity, but I do think that there's better options here. We're going to go with something like, what is it here? Great Weapon Master, come find it. So this gives us the ability to attack twice if we deal a critical hit or take out an enemy. And we also get a -5 to our attack rolls, but a +10 to damage rolls. So overall, just going to deal more damage with this because that's all we really care about is smiting. Big numbers. See big number, make brain happy. And here's where we get our nice deepened pact. So pleased with your service, your otherworldly patron added new boons to the terms of your pact. Great contracts. But Blade Pact holders gain an extra attack with their pact weapon. And Pact of the Chain familiar, blah, blah, blah. So that gives us the ability to attack again, and we got a lot of damage, that means. So for our next spell, Hunger of Hadar can create blindness in an area, and you can equip a ring that'll stop you from being blind, and that can be really great. Fireball being one of my favorites. I like Counterspell a lot, but as this, we have 5 levels of Paladin, which is a half caster, so we don't get that many level 3 plus spell slots. Fireball is just a bit more, it's fun just to have that group of enemies together and be able to nuke it with multiple people. Counterspell can be good, but you'd hopefully have a wizard or sorcerer on the team that can cover that base for you, because this is more so like focused on being like not a caster, but a just frontline attacker. And for next, Eldritch Invocation. False Life can be decent. Gain 7 temporary health points. Devil's Sight. Okay, there it is. Yeah. You can see it normally in darkness, both magical and non-magical, to a distance of 24 meters. So, yeah, that actually is pretty good. We're going to go with that instead. And what's great about that is we can take Hunger of Hadar. If we want to remove Hex or Armor of Agathis by this point, you can, but we'll keep it like that, and we'll probably take Hunger of Hadar next level. And Warlock level 6, this is where you get another subclass feature. Darkwind's own luck, so call on your patron to change your fate and add a 1d10 to an ability check. So this is good in conversations if you need that ability check. For our spells, I think that Hunger of Hadar is kind of the best one to go with, as we have the ability to see in blindness up to 24 meters. So we can kind of disappear in an area and just wipe the floor with them. It's great. Counterspell can be good too, but as I said, the spell slot economy for this build is not fantastic compared to like a wizard, so we're kind of stuck where we're at. Finally, we get our level 4 spell slots. Wall of Fire can be decent. Dimension Door can take you and an ally across, and then you can Eldritch Blast them off a wall, which is pretty fun. Banishment is okay. Fire Shield can be decent for giving yourself a bit of light and provide resistance to fire and cold damage with a retaliation. I just think that Wall of Fire is great for just crowd control. I don't know. For what we got level 4, you can upcast some of our previous spells like Hold Person and things like that. And then for our final Eldritch Invocation, you can go with whatever. Really, Confusion could be a decent level 4 spell slot that you can use a Warlock spell slot on. Confuse a group of creatures. This is an area of, it's like Fireball for crowd control, which I think is pretty good and definitely an underrated one. So I think we're going to go with something like that. Book of Ancient Secrets can give you a few different spells, which are pretty useful, and you can cast these once per long rest, and they don't extend any spell slots when cast. That can be decent, but I think Confusion can be really nice just to nuke people with. And it's, again, like a Fireball, but for crowd control. So getting into the gear, this fancy gear that Gale's got on there can be pretty good. He's got a nice 23 armor class, the highest, and he's a wizard. But we got this Birthright +2 charisma hat, which is really nice because then we get a solid 24 charisma. It gives us +70 charisma checks. Crazy powerful. I like the Cloak of Protection, +1 to saving throws, and armor class. It's just all around always useful. Reaper's Embrace is pretty great. Heavy armor if you don't have the Helldusk armor, or if you wanted to throw that on someone that needs light armor, because this reduces all incoming damage by 2, and that's pretty decent just to have. It's got decent armor class. We also have the Giant's Gauntlets here, which gives us a 23 strength, which is very nice. That's how we're able to dump strength. Helldusk Boost can give us a Hellcrawler, which is nice. You can just teleport to an area and do fire damage. Super useful. Show up, deal fire damage, push people off the edge. So I like the Amulet of Ball for our amulets here. There's also a few other ones like the Amulet of Greater Health if you want to dump Constitution. Spells Crux Amulet can give us a spell slot restoration, but it's better on someone that's going to be using higher level spells. So something like that can be really nice. Killer Sweetheart to give us attack roll critical. We're going to be smiting with our high levels, level 4 spell slots as much as possible. Using this, it can one-shot even some of the late game bosses. And then the Conduit Ring, when we're concentrated on a spell, which is usually going to be always, we deal additional 1 to 4 psychic damage. I like for the weapon Sword of Chaos because this gives us plus 1 to 6 health on any attack, which is really useful. And this is our Pact weapon, so it does pretty good damage. Our total damage is 11 to 21 there. And then if we use something like our Divine Smite, it gets pretty good, 27 to 75 damage. And then we have the necrotic and radiant damage on there. And we heal ourselves on attack. It just gets pretty crazy. We can hit critical hits. It goes so hard. And for our bow, I have the dead shot on there. It just gives us a higher chance of hitting critical hit. The Titan String Bow with this gauntlet is really nice. Or if you have the potions that increase your strength. But there it is. That is a pretty powerful Warlock Lock-It-In Paladin build guide from Baldur's Gate 3. Hope you found this video useful. And if you did, please hit the subscribe button below.